Welcome to the Riot Games Arena LCS waiting room.
Bang!
Away. We got the LCS playoffs coming in hot. 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest going to be getting underway in 27 minutes and 10 seconds.
Exact timing.
Yeah, that's what the clock is for.
Just for you to cut the exact timing
just
of
so
it.
I can get it.
Perfect.
So for those of you who have been watching the stream for like an hour.
Yeah.
The people, the real ones,
Yeah,
the real ones
you
who
probably
showed up.
heard.
All 10 of you.
You probably heard our All-Pro discussion on the dive, but that was filmed on Monday. Now we actually know what the All-Pro teams are. So we're going to throw these up. First team, All-Pro, LCS, 3 Cloud9 players, Gory. I probably ran it down by not putting him on my ballot. Vulcan.
So 4 Cloud9
as the
members.
Did you see the M&S tweet
Yeah.
where he did do that? He did all of them and then just C9 Vulcan.
Yes. I mean, not too much of a surprise. I feel like there was some position battles in here. I didn't look at the actual spread of some of these points. I think Fudge was one of the largest ever, though,
He
for
was.
the first team. I think there was a single vote he didn't get.
So there was a couple. I'm not sure exactly who. I'd have to check the ballots again.
Yeah.
Fudge was the most unanimous first team.
Yeah.
Blabber shared votes with Spica. Berserker shared votes with Prince. And Gory was by far the lowest amount
Mid lane
of total
was
points.
Mid
because
was a
too many
mess.
different mids shared
Yeah.
points.
It was
And Vulcan was like
absolutely-
middling, I think.
I
as
think he was
well.
on the 5th place teams. People were like, oh, is he really the best? Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, as you already mentioned, were focusing more the discussion around the mid lane position. Gory, based off that conversation we had prior to it, honestly, I looked at the Reddit threads and just like the general commentary, and it was the same thing we kind of expected, which is, yes, Gory makes sense because he played well throughout the full split. He had probably the most consistent performance of all mid laners. But then there were people who were, as you can clearly see through the votes, who were like, I don't care, M&S still played really well.
Yeah.
Or they were kind of recency biased and focused on Bjergsen, or they were focused on, I'm trying to remember, VicLa, and we will talk about him sooner or later, but
Yeah.
a lot of mid laners ended up getting through into the pool, which can be a positive because you do get a lot more mid laners getting shouted out. So that's something we'll talk about a little later.
I wanted to check with production. Do we have second and third team as well, or do we just have the first team graphic? Can we roll the second and third team as well, just so we can get the complete picture of what happened?
That's
so
true.
yeah, we do have them. They said they're sending them here. C9 pretty much first team.
Yeah.
A lot of FlyQuest on second team. Emily?
Yeah, I was
Lot
gonna
of
say,
green.
like, imagine at the end of the first round robin, knowing that this was gonna be your All-Pro after
Yeah.
it looked like FlyQuest, I think at that point, had only dropped a game.
Recency bias.
So the disparity between the fact that FlyQuest had to play a tiebreaker against C9 to see who would be first place regular season, and then the result of that tiebreaker, we kind of joked about it, but how it could be reflected here is super interesting.
And I will say, this has to be like the fewest amount of games a player has played to get second. I mean, that's the most specific stat. that you
I
can
believe
point out.
so.
But like,
It's 10 because we technically counted, but it was up in the air whether or not the tiebreaker counted, depending on what your voting criteria
yeah.
were.
This is what I like to see. Nice spread all around. You have 2 EG, 1 FlyQuest, 100 Thieves, and Huhi as well.
I know we talked a little bit about how much confidence we have in CLG as a team on the dive, but
snubs.
it is super interesting to me
Zero.
that they
Zero
finished
players.
fourth and there are 0 players. Like, obviously, people who looked at my votes know I put Dokla third team All-Pro and Palafox second for mid. But yeah, that was the most shocking to me, specifically Palafox. I thought he'd get a little bit more love. Like, if there's any big snub, I actually think it's Palafox.
I would agree with that. I think Palafox definitely deserved to get at least more votes. I can understand that people would want to put in like M&S, Gory. I know VicLa came into the vote there. I think Palafox performed better, so obviously I put him in my second team All-Pro. But I can understand if there's more of a spread. Dokla was another one where, you know, I saw a few votes in third All-Pro for him, so like I can understand that. I would say CLG as a conversation though, I think the conversation throughout the split has been how good of a team they are, how kind of creative their drafts are, how coherent they are as a unit. So I think whenever it comes to their team, they're one of those teams that are just like greater sum of their parts kind of thing, where the team structure feels like it's working. It's the coaching, you know, as little as we know about what's actually happening behind closed door, they get praised a lot for it. So I can understand why people would say, oh, you know, the players are almost there, not just there yet from the voters. but they would give a lot of like tipping the hat to the team.
It's interesting to me because they were one tiebreaker away from being third place. They lost to 100 Thieves in that final tiebreaker, and it was a very back and forth game.
Do you think if they win that game,
they get some more All-Pro votes?
who would it be?
Yeah.
Do you think?
I don't know.
think so.
I don't know, but my point there is just that, like, you know, they were so close to being third and they don't get any representation. Your point about them being greater than the sum of their parts, does that mean that C9 is worse than the sum of their parts? Because they have all these first-team All-Pros, but they had the same number of wins as FlyQuest. So their players are insane, but their synergy is just not there, I guess.
Because they're an early game team.
Yeah.
Were you going to say something?
Oh
Just
my
an
gosh.
interesting note.
I was
There's
just going to
something
say it's really interesting because, again, we had GG, who did look like a lock for fourth prior to the final week, having Gory end up and Huhi. River didn't make it.
So they have 2.
Yeah. That in and of itself was really interesting to me as well, is that CLG did finish that high, and we had the 6th place team getting 2 in there, 1 first team.
Yeah, can we cycle first, second, third team again, just because I've made a few observations throughout this. So let's roll them now. We have CLG, the only playoff team to have no players on the list.
Yeah.
We have the 6th place team in Golden Guardians with 2, as you mentioned.
But 1 on first team.
We have the team that was tied with FlyQuest have 3 in first team, whereas FlyQuest, the team that was also tied for first, had 3 second team. There is a weird mix there, but then the other thing that is possibly even like almost an argument used in bad faith when people are like, how could you have a team that was 6th have 2 players when a team that was 4th had no players? It's like, because dude, there were 1 game different.
That's the
like
thing.
these teams were so close from 3rd to 6th.
And we're talking about just win. If I'm going to defeat my own point here, it's about how you have to actually watch the games and use your eyes to see what's going on in these games as well. So like Gory had some great performances in losses. And that, I think, bolstered him a lot in voters' minds. Same with C9. They were incredibly dominant over that stretch in the second round robin. It wasn't just that they were winning. They were dismantling teams. They were crapping all over them. And that level of dominance does matter. You can't, it's not just like, oh, every win is the same. In record, yes, but in terms of performance, no, those games from C9 were absolutely incredible. So like, you know, to go back on my own little like cheeky comments, it is true that like the actual way you get there matters just as much as where you ended up.
Yeah, I was just going to say also the circumstances around mid specifically where Gory did get first team All-Pro. I think I've already said this, but the reason why I put him there is because he was the most consistent in both their wins and their losses. But mid was just a mess. Like it's not, and when I say it was a mess, I don't mean that this is the weakest mid pool we've had, because I actually don't think it is.
No, not at all.
But I do think that no one was consistent. And and then you have the issue of M&S being the best performing mid in the time he was in the league, but does not playing for an entire half of the split. How much does that matter?
Yeah, and one person that's worth noting is actually Jojo Pyun, because he's somebody that I think I expected him to clearly be on first team All-Pro at the beginning of the season, or at least the split. Even throughout the middle of the split, I was like, okay, so he's making a lot of mistakes. That's just Jojo Pyun. But his laning phase has been really good. And so I expect him to grow from that good point. Gets player of the week. And then immediately after that, the trials and tribulations of them actually getting sick, playing from home, playing poorly after that. So I was like, oh, actually, so there is no ramp up period. This is just where he is throughout the split. So the regular season is actually, at least for the mid lane pool that you're talking about, I think is going to be the biggest stark contrast from regular season to playoffs. Because I expect that to not be the case at all when it comes to playoffs, because then they'll be healthy. You have now more practice time against a specific opponent, so you can prep a little bit more. And of course, he himself would talk about in the interview that he had with you in this Player of the Week interview, where he feels like he can just turn it on in playoffs time. You're like, okay, so I feel like the mid lane pool is just going to be different, at least when we see the top 3 mid laners when it gets to playoffs. That's my expectation.
Yeah, well, one of the best things about awards is how they are regular season awards. Yeah. But no matter what happens in the playoffs, we're getting salty tweets.
It's aging like wine, or it's aging like milk?
CLG, if they win tomorrow, they'd be like 0 first team versus 3 first team. Anything could happen. Abadaga used to get super salty about it. But let's move on to today's games, actually. So we have 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest, and there was a fun little piece of content that 100 Thieves actually put out during their Super Week, before they actually won the 3 games, but they talked about how they scaled throughout the entire year. Let's check it out.
We're a scaling team. Any team with Koreans, already outscaled. EG has no Koreans, actually. But they're still outscaled, doesn't matter. Late game beasts in and out of game.
What does it mean to be a late game beast out of game?
What? It means that we were scaling the whole season. We had a tough early and mid game, but you know, now we're finally online. That's what it means.
We win because we have Gathering Storm, so we just scaled it up. I actually don't know if we have Gathering Storm, but mentally we do.
That game we just played, another 40-minute banger adding to the collection. I'd Gathering Storm that game. Peter f***ing knows Gathering Storm is broken. Peter, did
There's no f***ing way you went Gathering Storm on Gragas
Gathering
top.
Storm plus 48 AD. Actually, it was like 64 at like 40 minutes. AP, whatever, same thing.
That's so useless on Gragas top, bro. Like, you're supposed to do it on chimps that like scale off of those stats, like 80 carries.
Did you see his barrel on
Doja Pound?
Yeah, my barrel.
You only hit that if you have Gathering Storm.
I can only hit that if I have Gathering Storm,
Zero
bro.
items, and it would. Okay, whatever.
I think you're just delusional. Like you're being too emotional right now. Yeah, it's all in your head.
Storm. I did have it though. I don't know why. I just felt it today.
I don't think anyone goes Gathering Storm on Zaya.
I know. Everyone goes Cookies Boots on Zaya because you expect to be 300 gold down, so you need like the boots to like pop in and like give you some gold back. Don't care. Had to do it.
Every second we're breathing, we're outscaling.
Exactly. It's a good analogy, right? Like our split, we pretty much have Gathering Storm. Like we're scaling so hard right now.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Luan.
Yeah, the camera is instantly on me. The content machine. I don't have any words for you, sadly.
No words? Alright, well he was slightly like Turbo Gap by inspired that game, but he came back, outscaled him, and we won the game because of it. Great job, bro.
This is Nas game knowledge. I don't have any comments. Yeah, tomorrow we're gonna play against Immortals and we're gonna stomp them.
Oh my god.
Chemistry's good.
Yeah.
Chemistry's good for 100 Thieves right now.
He did not like being called that being turbo stop. He was like,
big
I don't know about that.
Older brother, little brother, shut the F up energy.
I was gonna say little brother for sure. He's like Gathering Storm Gragas and Doublelift. Like, wait, are you serious? And then immediately Busio's like, you went Gathering Storm on Zaya. They all just flaming each other's Gathering Storm choices.
Okay, with that, we're moving into Jat Stats. These are focused on today's matchup between 100 Thieves and FlyQuest. Okay, let's see if you guys can go 3 for 3. They're not that hard this week.
Do you not have a jingle intro? You used to have a jingle intro.
I hear something.
Yeah, we're maybe next time when this becomes
low budget Jat
when this
Stats.
starts catching on more again. Then I can get budget for a song. Okay, question 1. During 100 Thieves 7-game win streak, which they're currently on, they were down 2,000 gold or more at 20 minutes multiple times. How many games do you think they were down 2,000 or more gold at 20 minutes to then outscale the opponent later on in the game?
I'm trying to remember all 7 of these games.
You're not gonna have time for that.
I know there was the one game that Closer had an insane early game, so they must have had a lead.
Yeah, he's like a least in game.
Yeah.
4?
I'm going 4.
I'll go 3. I'll go 1 under.
5.
Price is right.
This price is
5
right.
games? It was 3.
I don't know.
That's still a lot. That's
I
still
knew
a
it.
lot. Usually when you're down 2,000 gold at 20 minutes, you lose.
I didn't just undercut Raz. I knew
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
Price is right.
sure.
Okay, question number 2. Question number 2. All right, so they have been down in gold in those many games. So a question,
Oh god.
in those 7 games, how many times
this
did
was
they
gonna be a
take
question.
Gathering Storm?
After seeing that concept,
So it's
I
at
was
least 2 in that game. So it's multiple choice though. A, 2, B, 5, C, 7, or D, 14.
So in the 3
I mean,
games,
it has
how
to
many
be
Gathering
14.
Storms did they have?
This
Yeah,
has
so
to
it's
be
like
14.
if Tenacity and Doublelift took it in that one game, that counts
Yeah,
as 2.
that's 2.
Right. So 2 on average would be 6. So the question is this
Well,
slightly
2 across 7 games.
Oh, I thought this was in just the loss, or
no,
just
it's
the wins.
during their
with them.
7-game win
Oh,
streak.
the entire 7-game win
Oh.
streak?
Yeah, so it's across their 7
Oh,
games.
what
Oh,
are you
give me
gonna
the
say now?
14,
It's probably
baby.
Look at this
14.
guy
Give me the
stealing my goddamn answer.
Everyone
No, not
14?
me.
I'll go 7 just to be different.
Yeah, so it's kind of fake news. It's just 5.
Okay.
Yeah, there was 2 in that one game. That was the only time Tenacity took it. Doublelift was the other 4.
I thought this was supposed to be fun.
Wait, Bjergsen?
We're having fun.
Wait, you said
Bjerg didn't
was-
have Gathering.
No, Bjerg's never taken it.
it was just Peter. Peter's done
Tenacity took it
4
once,
times.
and Peter's taken it 4 times.
So this
Yeah.
this is complete fake news because everyone would think
Yeah.
that Bjergsen's like the vegan
No,
scaling.
he is
you know,
a
like
Scorch enthusiast.
he's
There it is.
here to
He
dominate.
takes Scorch
Yeah.
almost every game.
Myth
Okay,
busted.
last question. This is including both teams, so supports are excluded for this question. This player has the lowest kills for the split across both teams and only a 52.4% kill participation. Who is not getting kills and is not involved in fights?
It has to be I'm thinking Impact. Top laner's not going to be a part of a lot of the map. And a lot of the kills are being siphoned to Prince. I shouldn't give you my explanation.
Don't we talk about like how good Impact team fighting is?
Yes, but those are few and far in between, guys. He's not a part of all the skirmishes. I'm just going to put out Impact.
Okay.
It should be actually, it's either Impact or Tenacity. I feel like top lane is just the cheat answer.
Okay.
But Tenacity's been playing
Tenacity
Sion
has
and
a lot of
That's
kills.
the reason. He's also...
Lock in your answer. He's Impact.
I think I'm going Impact too.
Oh, I
Maybe
wonder
VicLa?
why.
It's not, I don't think it's VicLa. I also think it's
Hey,
All right. The desk is smart. They read kill participation stats. It's almost always top laner. Boom! 1 for
Impact.
3. Time to celebrate.
I got 2.
Let's go.
Okay.
By copying.
Raz time.
That's it for gas stats. We are going into some top lane analysis, though. Tenacity versus Impact. There are some interesting champion similarities because Impact has won many titles with Doublelift. In fact, 4. These look like they could have been Impact's champions, but in fact, these are the only 2 champions that Tenacity played during their 7-game win streak.
Doublelift has morphed him into his ideal top laner. He saw the Fiora and Jax games. He flamed them on his stream a little bit, you know, and now he's like, all right, you're on Sion and Cho'Gath. And it looked really good. I think Tenacity had a resurgence in the second half of the split on these champions. You can see 7-0 during that time. So very impressive, but I think it's a little concerning when you look at his opponent maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think Cho'Gath overall is just a really strong pick. And also Tenacity in his actual team fighting and coordination with the team on Cho'Gath, he looked really, really good in those games specifically. I was like, okay, your coordination with the rest of the team has improved so much that it's now being reflected in these team fights. I do think Impact always has these weird games where he's like, give me the counter pick, and it's like Urgot or you know,
Once in a blue
Shen,
moon, he's
or
like,
yeah, if he's feeling it. So I don't know. You could see that today too.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that we're focusing on the fact the 7 games in a row, these are the 2 champions that he's playing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yes.
It's funny, too, because when he subbed in Academy, because he had to do that, he also played
Sion.
Sion. Yeah, he was just like getting ready for the LCS.
Yes, hey, it's good practice. And it just goes to show, like, first things first, 100 Thieves probably have the clearest identity of all teams going into playoffs. Like, they are just going to be a scaling, team fighting team with a tank frontline. So it makes it easier to ban. It's funny because Doublelift had his interview with Travis. So, like, he was, like, talking about, I don't understand why they're banning me. Ban this guy! Like, this man right here! Sion Graggy.
Well, yeah, so that's where I was going to go is like, it's been great for Tenacity. He almost broke into people's All-Pro ballot, but that guy's actually the number 2 All-Pro. He's the best top laner of all time in North America as voted in the LCS 10 last year, and he's done it primarily playing this playstyle. This is what Impact does best in terms of weak side champions, finding these little counter picks like Emily was talking about, or just outplaying people in the tank matchup. Even when he falls behind, he's incredible. And to me, the point about how obvious it is how they're playing, they can either try and ban out Tenacity and, you know, Impact might be deeper in this play style, or they can just leave them open and Impact can play it as well. So, like, it's a little concerning for me exactly what's going to happen for 100 Thieves in the series. They might have another angle that they just haven't had to show on stage during this win streak, but if that's all they have, it's like, this is kind of Impact's bread and butter.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even though Tenacity has just played the 2 champions, it wouldn't make sense to ban out those 2 champions when you're Impact. He's actually got 9 Cassante games this split. He'll just play Cassante into either one of those things and feel completely fine. But we did dig up something from the very start of the year. I don't even know if Tenacity knows this is on the line, but it's definitely on the line now.
We don't forget here.
Check out what he said in January about FlyQuest.
Far up on this tower. How about this? If we lose to FlyQuest in playoffs, I'll shave my head.
Oh, all right.
He's just giving it out for free.
It's on tape. It's on tape. We've got the VoD.
Nice.
All right, I like that. I like that. That took guts.
I know he does remember this because there was a tweet thread earlier between, I think, it was like Lena and Spica joking around, and Tenacity responded, and he's like, no, I'm keeping my hair. So he's aware. He will have to deliver on the bet.
And they can do like the jackass stream. You just go behind him randomly.
During the handshake.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the one bet you gotta ditch. You cannot keep the bet even if you lose.
Well,
I'm keeping my hair.
He might still look good bald. We don't know. We haven't seen it.
It's true. You never know. Okay, Spica.
Can't wait for the photoshops.
Spica and Bjergsen, for those of you who haven't been following have a long history. They were teammates in 2020 when they won a title. Bjergsen was Spica's coach in 2021 during Spica's MVP season, and now they are playing against each other once again.
I think this is just a cool rivalry within this team. This is probably the fun and like most close of any two teams in the LCS. Spica having a relationship with Bjerg as his former coach, being teammates with them as well, going to Worlds, all this stuff. He trolls Bjerg all the time back when, you know, they were teammates together. There's like on Discord a message where he was talking about, you know, how he needed to vent to his coach.
It's a rather long conversation.
Yeah, the whole point is though he trolls Bjergsen quite a bit. And so like it's just cool to me that there's this closeness. Even what Emily was just talking about, the conversation between Spica and Lena was about like he can't lose to Doublelift because he's a boomer and 30 years old or anything.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, like, preseason, there were rumors about them actually joining the same team together when Doublelift was rumored to even come back. Like, these things happen because there's a close relationship between these players, and so that just makes things a lot more interesting. The shit talk, a lot greater. Like, they're a lot more willing to engage with each other and stuff like that. And I do think it's going to be a lot more fun. Oh, right, I forgot about this.
Well, I mean, I thought this is what you were talking about at the beginning of the play, because he's like, oh, this is why I didn't end up on 100 Thieves, guys.
Amazing.
I couldn't get this out of my head.
I love how we always bring it back to this.
Hey, he is bringing it back.
He did bring it back.
He even did the thing with the FlyQuest team where he's like, oh no, it happened again, and they all have like sleeping masks on and stuff.
True.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's how you guys remember 2020 TSM. They were the LCS champions. The 9 Worlds didn't happen. They never.
Oh no, I remember
they were never there.
the 9-man sleep.
Yeah, they're never there. Not a big deal. Doublelift and Prince is another one that I think is probably the biggest storyline coming into this one, just because of one, the relationship that basically Prince has with Doublelift in terms of looking up to him his entire career, the fact that they did the jersey swap, but then you add to the fact that Prince started the split looking completely unbeatable as the best AD carry in the league, but by the end of the split, Doublelift actually ended with more kills, so there could be a real rivalry here.
And I think it's, as much as we joke about like Doublelift being a boomer and like all this stuff, you do have to remember that in season 1 and season 2, when they played in Korea, he was an incredibly well-respected AD carry at the time, known as one of the best in the world. So it's really cool to see this kind of payoff, because Prince obviously saw Doublelift when he was a kid and he was like, I want to do that. Like, that's actually so cool that they were able to meet each other in the LCS and now are facing each other in this playoff series.
And I know people commented a lot on how like long League of Legends has lasted throughout its tenure. But this is one of those moments where you realize just like how young the game is usually. Because in traditional sports, you see it so often when it's like, yeah, I've always looked up to this player, now I'm playing against them. And now you legitimately are getting that with Doublelift and Prince just because of that experience and how long Doublelift has been playing the game. You've heard it with Uzi, you've heard it with Faker, within their respective regions. And in this case, you're hearing it where, yeah, you legitimately are playing against someone that's looked up to you, watched all your best work. You watch Prince's stream, he's going back through old footage that I've forgotten. You're like, oh, okay, he remembers.
Yeah, I just think it's really cool that, like I said, these teams have so much common ground. Even like Eyla and Busio have a little bit of history during their time in Academy against each other.
Very
like,
true.
This is a team that we didn't even talk about Impact. Played with Doublelift for a long period of time. We talked about the ideal top laner of what he wants Tenacity to be. It's because he played with Impact, and that was the play style that they won 4 championships with, you know? So, like, there is this long history with a lot of the guys on this team, and it seems mostly amicable.
Yeah, and one really interesting thing is the stats, which I just told we were skipping, but I think it's a super cool point. Doublelift has passed Prince in regular season kills, but Prince, if you look at his KDA against Doublelift, is 25 kills, 1 death. He's been completely dominant, and Doublelift is actually yet to kill Prince in the 2 games. He's never had the last hit on Prince, so we'll see if it'll happen during this, but we do have a nice story from Doublelift about Prince. Check it out.
Trash talking Prince? Dude, I can't trash talk Prince. He's like my son. I'll tell you a little story, actually, that this is not trash talk, just a disclaimer. Our jungler, Closer, he was saying that after FlyQuest lost the game, there's this hallway in LCS with a bunch of my photos because it's like all the trophy photos. And Prince was looking really sad after he lost, and he was just staring at my picture, like trying to get inspiration or something. And then, you know, John just walks by and he comes and he runs to me and he tells me this. I don't even know what to think. Like, it's like weird that he's like he's so nice to me like that. I feel like he has in the beginning of LCS, he had every right to say he's better. I told him straight to his face, you're better than me. So we have to beat him. That's it.
All right, here's the stats we're talking about. LCS Spring excluding tiebreakers. With tiebreakers, Doublelift actually passed him in kills.
It's also excluding tiebreakers because Prince got slammed in that Draven game, and it cratered his gold difference down to like 6. But for most of the split, they did a really good job funneling Prince gold. So I just wanted to highlight that, as well as, like you said, Doublelift playing an extra game in that time, changing things up. But in the head-to-head, like you were saying, Jet, actually incredibly Prince favored in the 2 matches that they played. You can see it does make it an uphill battle a little bit for 100 Thieves to flip the script from what's been happening so far in the split.
All right, that's a lot of stuff. 2 minutes left before the game. We got to talk about predictions.
Okay.
We talked about them on the dive, but we've had more time to think about it.
Sure.
Has anyone changed their mind?
Yeah, has anyone changed their mind?
I did.
You did?
What's your prediction?
Yeah, I said 100 Thieves on the dive, right?
Yeah.
3-2. I said FlyQuest 3-2 here. I will say this, my game score is almost always wrong, and it's because I do it as like a confidence monitor of both of these teams, right? So I actually think they're gonna play pretty close to each other, closer than what people might expect, given how like wildly variant 100 Thieves were up until like their final 7-game streak. But yeah.
All right, we can throw the rest of the predictions up. Mine is a little one-sided, but that's because I do think that the matchup is bad for 100 Thieves.
All right.
But Raz, you're a 3-1 100 Thieves.
You're a believer.
So you gotta get your word in.
I'm a believer. I think 100 Thieves right now are one of the better team fighting teams in the league, better than FlyQuest. I think they fall behind consistently in the early game, and I don't expect that to happen. I do expect that to happen again. I think FlyQuest have great laners, so even if that's the case and they fall behind 2K gold, thank you, Jet Stats.
3 out of 7 games.
There it is.
Gathering Storm believer.
Boom. And even if their champions get banned that make their style so good, I think the team fighting aspect of their front to back has just been too good to stop them. So I actually have it, even though it says 3-1 and it feels convincing, these games I think will still be close.
Yeah, and it's 3-1 on the desk, but the fan prediction is also much closer, I've heard. So let's pull that one up.
Oh, baby.
51-49.
51-49.
I appreciate seeing this a lot more than just like whatever they're predicting to win for fans, because this shows just how divisive it is.
But 100 Thieves has more fans. So really,
this is
if we're being objective about it.
The objective fans are
like
somehow.
70%.
All right, Jet.
Okay, let's get to the casters. We got a special one, but first, a video.
I think Cloud9 is, in my opinion, the strongest team right now. But the other teams, I think, is really a bloodbath. And I think for us, we just have to step up a little more to match that.
Can he make it happen? Oh, with the payload, it's good! Lean on top for Cloud9!
Sure, just compare with other 5 teams, yeah, just weak.
CLG just did what nobody thought they'd do!
They're the #1 seed, right? It's obviously gonna be tough, but that's just more for us to prove. And whenever we're doubted, we just end up winning, so keep doubting us.
EG, I mean, they've been looking shaky recently.
Even though I think people have been, maybe not as hot on EG because they picked up some silly losses, this is a team that's still behind the scenes. People are really respecting and really afraid of.
He's got a double kill of Azeri, making a triple, making a quadra. It's a pentakill for Prince!
I mean, I think we have a lot of work to do. Earlier on display, we found a formula of winning, right? And then I think we just need to find ourselves again.
They 2-0'd us in the regular season, so I can't talk that much trash, but they do not look like they did in the beginning. Not even close.
100 Thieves come to life right when they need to do it.
I want a robotic team, an emotionless team on stage. I want us to be focused on what's next and how we're gonna win. Right now, I feel like our team is like that, and if we continue our path, like we're 7-0, Rockets don't stop halfway. We gotta keep going.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the LCS playoffs. We are kicking off some best of 5 action here today with FlyQuest and 100 Thieves going head to head. I'm CaptainFlowers, that's Kobe, and we are joined for this best of 5 bout by Courage himself, ready to join us for the TriCast. How you doing, my friend?
Thank you. Yeah, no, excited to be back. I broke my way in here today. You guys had no idea I was going to be joining, but hey, last time went okay. It went okay. Reddit liked me, which I mean, I feel like that's 3/4 of the battle.
Reddit liked you. I don't know if the 100 Thieves fans were happy about the outcome.
No, I actually wasn't letting the compound this morning. My key didn't work. But no, super happy to be here. A major, major day. Cannot wait to get the action started.
Well, with the action just about ready to rock and roll, I think it's time to introduce the competitors that we have here today. Coming up first, you know them, you love them. Please welcome 100 Thieves. And next up, their opponents. They've been dominating the league since early on, and they're one of the top contenders. It's FlyQuest. Gotta love Spica showing up with the little potted plant there for Tree Quest. Uh-oh. Now what do we have here? A villain has emerged on the stage trying to steal away the plant from Spica, and FlyQuest has the coordination of a team ready to compete here in Best of Fives. They're pummeling the thief, shaming said attempted burglary for trying to stop FlyQuest's taking the planet energy.
That's what happened the last time I cast it as well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They're trying to run it back. It's
wow.
Our attempted assailant has been disposed of, and FlyQuest are taking their seats.
Wait, that was not one of the 100 Thieves, though. That was some other
I believe that may have been the 101st thief.
Yeah, that was some unrelated thief.
But I think her thieving days may be numbered. And as the players are now getting ready to take their positions and make sure everything's good to go for this first game, let's go ahead and see what Doublelift had to say about his return to playoffs.
Well, it's kind of my statement, my return, you know, so I have to make sure I live up to the entire narrative that playoffs buff. You know, veterans typically get one, rookies kind of choke. We're a mix, so, you know, what's going to happen with our team and how am I going to play? I've been nervous on LCS. Like, probably my return to LCS, some of those games, I was, like, the most nervous I can remember in, like, 5 years. You know, more nervous than playing at Worlds because coming back after a long break, it's, there's a lot of expectations. I don't know what's going on. At first, everyone thought I would suck. Now everyone thinks I'm really good. You know, I'm not, like, pouring over every single Reddit comment, but I kind of keep in touch with the community, and I think the expectations for our team are now pretty high. We're 7-0, you know, Rockets don't stop halfway. We got to keep going.
So we've got quite a difference between the story of these two teams so far in this split. FlyQuest incredibly dominant early, fallen off a little bit more recently. 100 Thieves had a rough loss streak early on, but they have been on fire here towards the end of the split. Courage, what have things been like behind the scenes at 100 Thieves?
Well, look, I mean, outside of the fact that I got Closer on my friends list, and it's been really cool to, like, live vicariously through his gameplay. I also play jungler, so I just pick whatever he's recently picked, and, well, I have a 30% win rate, but that's neither here nor there. The boys have been in high spirits. I saw Closer in the middle of that loss streak in the compound, and he came up to me and apologized, and I literally looked at him and said, brother, what are you doing? Why are you apologizing? I know you're going to figure it out. They're on the right track. It's a great time for them to be kicking into gear, and Kobe, from my end, look, you're the expert. It looks like the way that the pick meta has gone, it's begun to shift in their favor. The boys are figuring out positioning a bit more. Busio's got the confidence now on stage. It seems like the stars are aligning at the right time.
Oftentimes when you go through some adverse scenario and you're under that pressure as a team and you go through it together as a team, it can make you come out stronger on the other side. And that is what has happened for 100 Thieves. Is that plant real or fake? I'm going to go with real. The only concern I would have for 100 Thieves is that their success has been pretty formulaic in the way that they have gone after it here. The 7-game win streak where they've gone on and had this miraculous rocket run has really been determined by a lot of the champions that they're playing here. Closer, not a lot of variation there. Everybody knows the Lucian, the Veigar, the Wukong.
Yep.
For Tenacity, being the Sion / Gragas primarily, pretty much 100% for all the last 7 games, and being this kind of front-to-back double-lift carry for later. Bjergsen is always on some roaming playmaking champion from the mid lane. That could be something that FlyQuest try and attack, given that there is so much data on it.
And putting Tenacity on a meatball, I even saw him commenting on Twitter earlier in sort of just a banter thread this week. He was talking about, yeah, I've never played any of these champions in my life before a couple of weeks ago, and now look at me. I'm the weak side champ. So let's go ahead and see how it goes down here in the first draft. Veigar and Lucian, 2 of those trademark closer junglers banned away. Only the Wukong left up by FlyQuest. Rakan banned away from Busio too. While 100 Thieves are also going to be double targeting jungle here with the Elise and the Vi, along with the Annie flex pick between mid and support. And FlyQuest now thinking about taking away that last trademark closer jungler.
Now remember, this is a best of 5 here today, all about making changes game to game. It looks like the strategy for FlyQuest to start, target down closer in the jungle, who's really found his way in the second half of this split. As we see Wukong chosen, Kobe, so far no real surprises here.
And I think that is a great strategy to come out, like you say, in a best of 5 when you've got some extra data to work with here. They pinpoint all 3 of those champions that we mentioned, and then closer moves down to the Zhao. Now Xin has been coming up a bit more recently. It is a very strong duelist as well, so Xin still can allow closer to do some of the things that he has been able to do with the other champions. It's just doesn't have as much mobility as some of the other champions.
It doesn't have the mobility, but it does have early power. It does have strong skirmishing, which when I look at closer and his success and the things that he can do to snowball this team, I think of these 2v2s, 3v3s early on in the game where things can get messy. Over on the other side, the Sion is locked in for impact in the top lane, and Veigar will be locked for VicLa at mid.
I actually love it. FlyQuest said, yeah, 100 Thieves have been formulaic, and we're going to take that formula, and they're going to try and use it. They steal the Wukong, they double ban the Veigar Lucian, and they steal the Sion from
Can I borrow your homework?
Yeah, exactly.
One of those
Just
moments
change
right
it a
there.
little.
Hey, but, you know, if you're FlyQuest coming into this, and I actually wanted to hear your thoughts on this, Kobe. This is a team that started undefeated. We're far and away the best team in the league for many people, but it's been no secret. They've struggled a bit more as of late. I think that, as you saw in the matchup, when FlyQuest took down 100 Thieves in both of those matches, I think this team was at a bit of a better spot overall. What are your expectations that they need to work on and potentially fix here today to be the FlyQuest of old?
The number one thing, and this is self-admitted from the FlyQuest players, is them playing out skirmishes, talking about how they want to actually execute on some of these skirmishes and team fights.
Yeah.
They have not been coordinated. Their communication within even just small fights has not been there. They know that, though, for this entire week leading up to now. It's been the thing that they've been practicing on, so hopefully they'll be able to tighten that up a bit.
And Courage, you said at the start of the draft here that the big deal with best of 5s, you got to be able to make changes, adapt between the games. But the other thing that's interesting, you've only got one opponent to prepare for at the start of the week, right? So, I mean, if you win this game, for what it's worth, anybody who doesn't know the playoff structure out there, a win here today guarantees a locked-in spot in Raleigh for the finals. Doesn't necessarily get you into the final itself, but it guarantees you're going on a road trip.
That's a great point to bring up as well. The playoff pressure is here. Doublelift has played more best of 5 matches in the LCS than any player in history. I just made that stat up, but I feel like it's true.
I was going to say, good prep.
There was good timing.
I feel like it's true.
There was good timing on a little smirk from Doublelift, too. The classic.
Yeah.
He's going along with the joke. I did want to hit on it on the other side as well. Impact, obviously, when people are talking about veterans, talking about leaders, he has been the consummate leader within North America, has led so many teams through playoffs.
Alrighty, well, with the second half of the draft already nearly done, 100 Thieves was double banning AD carry because FlyQuest didn't pick either of their bot lane roles in the first half, and it's going to be Lucian Nami. Now, I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm not going to be modest about it. These picks have been bad when we have been seeing them since the nerfs, but I think if there's anybody that might be able to make them shine, it's Prince and Eyla. Prince is going to have to absolutely go to the deepest depths of his skill to make this champion work because the nerfs hit it really hard. start for 100 Thieves. It's going to be a Cho'Gath. It's going to be the Zilean for Bjergsen, the iconic pick here for the mid lane.
And as much as we opened up the draft talking about how FlyQuest are taking a lot of components that 100 Thieves have used successfully in the past, it's very apparent that 100 Thieves were already thinking about this and knowing that FlyQuest would go with that kind of opening strategy in the first game of a best of 5 here. And they've been able to come up with some really good answers here. The backup for closer on the Xin, Tenacity, Cho'Gath, really, really good into other tanks. And as well, the classic Bjergsen Zilean, massive, massive success throughout his career on this champion in the North American LCS, and Doublelift on the Jinx, the team fighter, the carry for later. So I think both teams feel pretty confident here coming into game number 1. And a lot of eyes will be on that bottom lane that you're talking about and the success of this Lucian Nami or failure.
Ooh, this is going to be a big one, folks.
FlyQuest and 100 Thieves going at it in a best of 5 to determine who gets to punch an early ticket to the Spring Finals weekend in Raleigh coming up here in just a couple of weeks. FlyQuest started out this split so hot, and 100 Thieves was so not. But in the past couple of weeks of regular season play, things changed around pretty dramatically, and I'm excited to see who's better prepared coming into today, as Doublelift and Busio have lane swapped up into the top side, and FlyQuest has the whole goon squad roaming around the enemy jungle.
Yep, everybody's looking out for these Sion possible cheese level 1 plays nowadays. So it looks like it will be 100 Thieves power move on top side, trying to get some deeper vision up there, checking around the top lane. See if they can sniff it out.
And VicLa still running around without selecting his first spell, hoping, hey, maybe there's a chance I go Cage first to look for this first blood. And actually, is there a chance here? No, they will not go. As all right, nothing to start at this level 1.
Yeah, one of the things about the early pick on the Veigar here for FlyQuest is that you're showing mid lane is not going to be aggressive lane, and that's what kind of left the door open for Bjergsen Zilean as Tenacity takes 400 HP of damage.
This is a big problem for 100 Thieves here. Spica wants to chase after him. He's saving the dash to try to end up on the same side of the blast cone as Tenacity. Doesn't quite work out. They are going to force the 100 Thieves top laner back. He's not going to have a great start here in the lane. Already had to burn the flash here too on the immobile Cho'Gath. So this is a nice, solid start here for FlyQuest. And as things are already getting spicy at level 1, we're going to toss things down to Jat, who's standing by for a sideline interview.
Thanks, Flowers. I'm here with Fly's head coach, Song, and we just watched the invade by Sion and Wukong. Was that something you guys talked about in draft, or did they make that decision on the fly?
Yeah, we talked about with the main Spica and like impact, like how to make the other better advantage from the level 1. So yeah, we planned it and it was good.
Awesome, good start. And one question about the jungle. I noticed you banned 2 of Closer's champions and then first picked Wukong. What is it about that matchup that makes you want to target Closer's champion pool?
Well, we have a blue side and we have a target ban for the slot bans, and like we have a lot of the strategy, but just first one game, just we tried about the jungle ban and see what's going on.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'll let you get back to watching the rest of the game. Thank you, Song, and let's send it back to the casters.
Yeah.
So something I really wanted to jump on immediately after that level 1 was chunking out a Cho'Gath and getting the flash of a Cho'Gath out of this Sion Cho'Gath lane matchup completely changes the way that you can actually play this game. Because Cho'Gath, so much of his laning power is reliant on having access to the minion wave to be able to get the last hits for your sustain. If you're able to get zoned off the minion wave from level 1, as Impact is able to do, because Spica was able to use his flash and chunk down Tenacity and burn his flash, it just completely neuters Tenacity's early laning phase, and so big punishment there. Then on the other side, Closer, because of the invade, the second ramification is that this Zhao has only 3 camps. Only access to 3 camps, spent so much time around bottom lane. A lot of wasted seconds here for Closer, 400 Thieves, and so that opening, that level 1 for FlyQuest got them big gains on the top side and big gains in the jungle.
Closer will at least be able to secure this bottom side scuttle crab for himself because of the fact that 100 Thieves had control, had the push here in the bottom lane. Impact versus Tenacity up here in the top side. Yes, Tenacity had a hard time early on, but now with the resources just about topped off again, things should return to what you would expect this matchup to look like. Back in mid, VicLa's gone ahead and used his first TP to get back in the lane, going for the boots purchase, going for the tier as well to begin stacking that up very quickly. We know how powerful the Seraph's Embrace is these days on a lot of mid laners.
And one thing I want to point out and ask a question on, Kobe, is 100 Thieves has looked pretty weak at times in the early game throughout this split. Is this a comp right now where they're more than fine, just taking it slow and playing for the late game, or where would you see the win condition is for 100 Thieves in this one?
Yeah, I think the 100 Thieves fans are looking at Bjergsen, they're looking at Doublelift, and they're breathing a sigh of relief here, because having a Zilean plus Jinx for late game, it means that you're going to be able to revive your front line here, allow the Zhao to play super aggressively, and create a lot of space there for Doublelift. So yes, their comp scales very nicely, and they shouldn't be too worried as long as nothing else goes disastrous. I have to say, Fly and Eyla so far, Prince and Eyla, excuse me, playing this bottom lane pretty well.
Yeah, you can see the confidence on Prince there, constantly trading the auto attacks on the Doublelift and Busio, knowing that Busio had the hook, but having the faith in himself to be able to read it and sidestep it when he's so close to the turret, and if you make that mistake, you're guaranteed to be in trouble. That's the kind of confidence I like to see guys playing with. In the game one of a best of 5, this is the one where you can really test some things out, see how you line up. As Tenacity wants to get this wave shoved up, Impact able to get a good chunk of damage onto him as he tries to do it and still freezes it. So Impact is fine with the way this top lane is playing out here right now. Remember, both of these guys going to get very tanky. A lot of times these days when we see these two top laners specifically matched up against each other, it's a heart steal type of a game where you just rush towards that health stacking and try to see who can become the bigger meatball.
One thing to take note of, remember that early counter jungle we mentioned? Look at the CS difference right now between Spica and Closer. 38 to 23 this early in the game. Closer absolutely going to be playing from the back foot.
And it plays right into what FlyQuest want, their win conditions here. Wukong versus Zhao. Wukong scales really, really well, wants to get to that level 6 for the team fighting, and they effectively were able to dodge all of the super early game dueling power of the Zhao by just sectioning him off to only the bottom side, and then Prince and Eyla playing bottom lane so well.
And one thing also to take note of too, where Doublelift has been the main win condition in a lot of these games for 100 Thieves and has taken over. He went 46, 11, and 43 across Super Week. Well, his worst matchup this spring split has been against Prince and Eyla in the bot lane. Will they be able to reverse course here, as we might have our first little bit of a skirmish going down to the bot lane?
Yeah, interesting here. Spica's trying to sneak away on Dragon while we have the lane gank from Closer. As long as Eyla and Prince don't overextend, which they have not done so far this game. They've been very good at keeping up their pressure while not giving an opening to Closer. And still, another swing here from 100 Thieves from Closer coming up empty. FlyQuest get the Dragon.
Dragon about to go, but what about the fight after? 100 Thieves still maybe thinking about it. Prince is bumped up by the Nami. Busio gets caught in a bubble, and Spica's ready to chase after. Busio gets out. They had to use Doublelift's heal as well as Busio's flash. So FlyQuest are going to take the objective and the tempo here in the bottom lane.
Want to shout out the small things that kind of go unnoticed too, that veterans like Impact do. If you're noticing the Sion during that Dragon fight, the Dragon sneak here from FlyQuest, as soon as they saw 100 Thieves push up the bottom lane and start to roam up towards Dragon, Impact started roaming down on the Sion halfway down this river so that he could threaten the Sion ultimate to join if they needed to. And then as soon as they secured it, he's able to get right back to lane. Does not drop anything to Tenacity here, although it allows Tenacity to catch up a few CS. Impact still keeping his lead while also providing support to the team if they need him for a team fight.
You love to see that from your experienced top laners, recognizing when it's good to give up a little bit of farm, give up a little bit of EXP to get the rest of the team ahead. Whether Sion or Cho'Gath is 10 farm up on the other one or has a couple of more stacks, nothing's going to matter that much. Their job is just to be the front lines here for these carries that we're going to have our eyes on.
And Spica, because of that early advantage he gets level 6. Closer still having to re-clear. Only level 5 now does level up, but this is going to be first Dragon and first Herald for FlyQuest. I don't think you could ask for a better start to their game plan. They ban out Closer, try to get the advantage of the jungle. That's exactly what they've got to kick off game number 1 here in the LCS Spring Playoffs.
Yep, double neutral objectives acquired for FlyQuest, for Spica. Really been able to snowball off of that. Veigar early on too, the cage can be super problematic when trying to roam over to plays like that. So far, mid lane, just a farm fest though. Both of these mid laners scaling quite nicely. 77 stacks here so far for VicLa in that mid lane.
And speaking of the mid lane, one thing we always have to consider is the X factor of Zilean. One of the things that can be difficult, the most difficult to play against in the game of League of Legends is those things that you don't get a lot of practice against. Zilean has such a unique ultimate in the ability to bring people back, and Bjergsen has such expertise and experience on getting that timing down. I want to see how FlyQuest is going to be able to approach this problem as the game moves forward.
Yeah, and the biggest problem for them is that it has synergies with Xin. Xin's out, this basically solo queue style jungle that wants to play super offensively and is very all in. Gets all of a sudden so much more confidence to play with. When you have the speed up from Zilean to allow you to engage, and then the revive to allow you to just continue to stay in there, heal off your auto attacks, play off the ultimate timer of yourself as well as the Zilean to be able to create a lot more space for the team. That is one of the big problems for FlyQuest to have to work around. And we'll see how they navigate those waters. The Veigar cage, as we said, though, can be a really big tool in doing that.
And I'm pretty sure Bjergsen just walked over and helped close their level up. Trying to catch him up in a little bit of XP right there, doing anything he can. As we have 4 players on each side here as the engage now comes in. Spica pops the ultimate. Nami wave in as well. Closer getting low. Does get the resurrect, as you mentioned. Plays in so well with Zhao, but he does still go down to the damage of Veigar. That's first blood for FlyQuest. 2 now as well, as it all begins to fall apart for 100 Thieves. Double kill for VicLa.
Meanwhile, up here on the top side, Tenacity's not doing any better. It's coming up FlyQuest across Summoner's Rift. A game that had nearly dead even gold has now exploded to a plus 2,000 lead for Fly, and they're going to summon up the Herald here in the bottom lane. They'll knock down the rest of the plates, and with this first turret dropping along with all its plates, I would have to think it's going to be looking like 3,500 gold in 11 minutes for FlyQuest.
That one just looked rough from top to bottom, as we also took note of prior to the matches today. 100 Thieves in the 7-0 streak was down by 2K gold or more in 3 of their 7 wins, Kobe.
Unfortunately for you, this is going to be the or more category.
Yeah, it is.
This is almost 4K, just gets chunked down there a little bit for FlyQuest. But look at this team fight here. Because it's over Scuttle Crab. Closer does get the smite on the Scuttle Crab, and then Spica is ult trading basically with Closer, but Closer stays in because of Bjergsen's revive. VicLa's the one that really profits off this though. Doublelift's ultimate goes right through the middle. The bubble coming out of the revive from Eyla, the timing here sets him up. It's just massive, massive stuff. Prince from the bottom side then can push them out. And you can hear the character in-game Veigar laughing at them.
Yeah.
Almost as much as the player is right now, because he just got a bunch of AP as well.
And watching that slow-mo, one thing I noticed, big whiff on the Jinx rocket, big whiff on the Thresh hook, and a whiff on the Thresh cage as well. It's about as worst-case scenario as it could have been for 100 Thieves in that fight, and now down by almost 4,000 gold at the 12-minute mark. Game number 1, a rough start for 100 Thieves.
And FlyQuest really displaying how to effectively utilize ground-targeted abilities on revives like that. People always talk about, oh yeah, you know, GA loses value when you play against Caitlyn because they can just place traps under you. But the timing on the bubble from Nami here, from Eyla, the timing on the W's of the meteors dropping here from Veigar, right when you get back up, immediately shut down there. So good job kind of nullifying that problem that we had posed for them, that question.
A lot of potential action might break out here as 100 Thieves brings a 5-man squad to challenge in the top side of FlyQuest jungle. They want to be able to steal away this blue. Spica's right here. Nice job timing the Q with the smite there to guarantee that 100 can't get anything. And with that, 100 Thieves doesn't want to try to force anything else right now. You're down 2 Drakes, you're down 4,000 gold. They're not in a spot where they can really force anything that's not just going to be a massive numbers advantage for them or something where they already have some inherent reason to expect to win a fight.
Yeah, and it always does feel really bad for the 100 Thieves side when you're facing the Veigar that's building double scaling here with the Seraphs plus Rod of Ages, and that's the one who gets the kills. So now you have the 13-minute completed Rod of Ages, plus it was the early tier stacking that you started talking about, Flowers. where the Seraphs will be stacking up very quickly, as Impact's going to give over the rest of the minions to that Veigar, so he can continue stacking.
And an interesting thing here, Impact rushed Abyssal Mask as his first item. We do not see this very often. A lot of the time you're going to see something more like what Tenacity has here on the Heartsteel, but Abyssal Mask, helpful when you have some extra magic damage on the team like they have in the Veigar. As Spica leaves his clone over the wall, 100 Thieves looking to get back their own Krugs. They should be able to do that. Spica still trying to contest here for the enemy red, but just in the same way that he stopped 100 Thieves from being able to secure his buff, they will stop him from doing that to them. Now you can see the total gold on the left side of your screen. It's VicLa, Prince, and Spica leading the charge. Doublelift's the first one to break up that ocean of blue bars, but he's still a good ways behind.
I actually love this Abyssal Mask buy from the Sion here, because look at the front line of 100 Thieves. None of them have any magic resist. You know, because you're going that tank versus tank Heartsteel stack, that's pure HP there. Okay, no Magic Mantle picked up. So he has one piece, but then the Gore Drinker rush from Zhao. Zhao's not going to build a lot of magic resist early on either, and so the flat reduction of the Abyssal Mask on magic resistance for the enemy front line does mean they're going to have to really worry about these Veigar bombs.
And coming into this game, I think it was safe to say the strength for 100 Thieves was in the team fighting. Well, at what point does the gold advantage become too much that it doesn't matter how good the team fighting is, as Closer looks for a second potentially at Impact. On the other side of the map, it's a Rift Herald again for FlyQuest. Do they just go drop that in mid right now to try to bash down the front door?
They absolutely could. They have 4 out of 4 neutral objective ownership so far. The early game has been incredibly FlyQuest favored. I'm at the point already where I feel like 100 Thieves is waiting for some sort of a mistake to capitalize on. Hope that there's some sort of miscommunication on FlyQuest's side, because otherwise it's so hard to find any sort of opportunity to get yourself a good fight here. Mid lane tier 1 turret destroyed is a big deal. It's going to open up the enemy jungle, allow FlyQuest to try to put down more vision, control more of the map. We've got less than 2 minutes before the next Drake spawns, and 100 Thieves is trying to stop this bleeding.
And you should be able to tell most of 100 Thieves' moves by looking purely at Doublelift, because the Jinx is the core of this composition, and Doublelift's items are the most important thing on the entire scoreboard there for the 100 Thieves side. So if they can get more money into this Jinx, try and get 2 items to Doublelift, then maybe they'll think about actually forcing one of those moves. But until they get something like that, it's got to be big numbers advantage. Whoa.
Impact having to flash away there, getting just a little bit too brave in the face of his opponents. The Abyssal Mask isn't doing a whole lot to protect you from Jinx rockets. VicLa and Spica and Eyla all showing up, trying to reinforce his bottom lane tier 1 as 100 Thieves fall back.
Nice little trade there for 100 Thieves. I think you'll take that any day of the week. Also, a great point to bring up. The Abyssal Mask might be a bit of a difference there, not having the Heartsteel on Sion. As the game will slow down for a brief moment to just check back in for those tuning in. This is game 1 in our best of 5 as they spot VicLa in the bot lane, and this looks like the opportunity for 100 Thieves to find themselves and engage. Bjergsen comes on in, it's Tenacity as well, and the kill onto Doublelift, Kobe. The best case scenario.
And it's a shutdown right into his pockets. That is the hope that you want there for the 100 Thieves side. FlyQuest, though, because 100 Thieves overload the bottom side of the map, they commit all of their members. They're happy to push out on the other 2 lanes. They do lose VicLa, they lose the bounty off his head, but Prince is pushing hard on mid, and top side, they take down the tower with Impact.
Now the big thing here is the Drake has also been stopped for the side of FlyQuest because of the fact they killed VicLa. When he does not have a teleport cooldown, when the timer is going to be lined up for the Drake spawn, it means FlyQuest cannot comfortably contest this, so they will not be able to build towards Soul Point. They will not have that threat for the rest of the game, but FlyQuest is saying, all right, fine, no Drake, no problem. We're going to take a tier 2 mid, we're going to take a tier 2 top, we're going to be 5,000 gold up on 100 Thieves.
Kobe, I have my gold 4 expertise here. Was that worth it for 100 Thieves in your opinion, giving up 2 tier 2 turrets?
See, it's all about context.
Okay.
Because you're so far behind in that position, I think it is worth it because, like he says, you can steal away a dragon. Stealing away 1 dragon now means it buys you 5 minutes in the future.
Yes.
And that's 5 minutes that you can load some money onto Doublelift. So even though you lose so much on the other side of the map, still a good timing to go for that pick.
Yeah.
And to be able to at least get that dragon. But FlyQuest, I think they ran with it. Now the lead is up to over 5,000 gold.
Uh-oh.
Spica was looking for Doublelift there, not quite gonna find him. Throws out the cage to make sure Tenacity's not able to chase any further. Busio throws out a hook, only finds Impact. The Sion could still be a viable target here. They are going to focus him and look to take him down, but the dead body's going to come back to life and look to get something back. Busio is killed, and Bjergsen falls back. He doesn't use the ultimate. He's still got it ready to go. Closer's here on the front line. Now he's going to be resurrected by Bjergsen, but it means Doublelift has no way out. A double kill on VicLa. It's 3 dead bodies wearing 100 Thieves colors, and they engaged on Impact and immediately got punished.
Yeah, they take down Impact, but guess what? He signed. He gets right back up, Flowers. The zombie Sion from the grave gets right back up for the re-engage from FlyQuest. And you can see the problem with trying to fight this from so far behind. In that last re-engage from Closer, the front line here, 100 Thieves trying to do what their comp is built to do. Zhao, charge forward, get the revive from Zilean, create that space for the Jinx. Problem is, Doublelift was already chunked down to 300 HP, and VicLa just went and killed him.
Yeah, the Busio hook lands here on Impact, and you'll actually notice the traps missed from Doublelift, but it's the play from Busio that says, no, sit there, which gives the engage, but at what cost? Well, guess what? It's 3 members as VicLa is just frying in the back, goes with the boots of Lucidity as well for that higher cooldown reduction, so he's able to throw these cages down over and over.
And it was the dead Sion that tore through 2/3 of Closer's health initially. When Closer jumps into everybody and has to gore drink just to get back to 2/3 HP, it's because Sion's dead body was ripping his head off. This engage on a Sion strategy does not work if the enemy team is ready to immediately counter-engage, and 100 Thieves learned it the hard way.
Yeah, and I think they also cannot really afford to dive ever.
Bjergsen with the flash out. Spica looking for something here as FlyQuest invades the enemy jungle. Busio finds a hook, but that's not going to matter. FlyQuest are the ones with control. They're the ones with backup, and now they're the ones clearing out all the vision of 100 Thieves and making Summoner's Rift a very dark and scary place.
Yeah, it's still dark and scary, and they're going for it.
Busio's going to be your target. Remember, he already had to flash away earlier, so they know he has no way out. They commit the Wukong ult for it, but they've still got the ulti of every other character. They've got a 5v4 for 20 seconds, and Baron's the target.
I love a vision toggle right now, and you see it from the team as well. 100 Thieves are like, we would love a vision toggle. Can we have God View? They put a Scryer's Bloom in the Baron pit. Closer here, gonna go for the Miracle Steal. Tenacity has Flash and Cho'Gath ultimate.
That's the thing. That's the thing you gotta remember. Cho'Gath can steal ahead of a smite value. And it means FlyQuest have to be very, very careful about this. If Tenacity is able to make his way into the pit, that could be 100 Thieves' way back into this game. FlyQuest does not want to burger flip this Baron. Prince is going to put the calling into Bjergsen, but only a couple of shots before he gets interrupted. And now with Prince down to 40% HP, FlyQuest is backing away. Busio's back on the map. He's going to rejoin with the rest of 100 Thieves. And 100 Thieves dig in and stop FlyQuest from taking the Baron.
It's one of the big benefits from merely having a Cho'Gath on your team. A 1400 plus damage, true damage ability to Baron. They stop the Baron with the threat of him flashing over and stealing it. It is a good call by FlyQuest. They know this is a possibility, and guess what? You're up 7,000 gold. That's why you don't want to burger flip, Flowers.
Yeah. And it doesn't look like FlyQuest wants to give up this turret as the engage comes in from Impact. Teleport behind the 100 Thieves members. It's VicLa on the back line. He says hello and goodbye to Doublelift. Bjergsen goes down as well. He will have the ultimate, but that does not matter. Closer trying to just get out the lantern to safety. VicLa is a one-man army as he shreds Doublelift on the back line.
Yeah, he's the Terminator, and he was built to kill Doublelift. In the last team fight, Closer dives and engages, and VicLa just walks at Doublelift and finishes him off. In this one, he teleports in and assassinates him from behind. That should be Baron, unless Closer is able to pull some miracle out of his butt.
Gentlemen, we are at an 8,000 gold lead for FlyQuest, and VicLa still doesn't even have a fully stacked Rod of Ages. He still needs to get one more stack before he gets the big bonus from that. Nearly 10,000 gold ahead now. As you can see, the Guardian Angel is completed for Spica, so the Wukong has no concerns whatsoever about engaging. And here's the engage that spelled doom for 100 Thieves.
Big knock up there onto Tenacity was kind of a distraction for the teleport. That ward right there in the brush was the death of Doublelift. Veigar comes in, 2 shots him. Good night.
Man, this is a pretty dire situation for 100 Thieves. There's really not a whole lot left they can do in this game to come back into it because FlyQuest is so far ahead. So I guess what I want to look to now is if you're 100 Thieves, what are you thinking about changing? What needs to be different in game number 2? Because this one got out of control pretty quick.
I mean, I'm going to pass that to you, Kobe, because I have no dang idea.
I mean, one of the biggest factors when you're coming into best of 5s is the prep work that you do for level 1s. There was a lot that snowballed off of this level 1, and that should be the first area that they start. That is something you can fix quickly.
Closer, about to die. Survives long enough to get the resurrection from Bjergsen, but what about after the fact? Now Spica's ready to use the ulti. Closer's still in retreat. Impact's here on the front. He's actually going to be the first one killed in this fight overall, and 100 Thieves doing a good job defending. The inhibitor is still standing too. FlyQuest push has not done a lot. Finally, they're going to get the inhib. They will trade their top laner for it, and with a 4v5 man disadvantage, FlyQuest now has to retreat. They may stop off and try to take the Drake, but it looks like they're saying no, everybody's just going to go back to base and regroup.
Yeah, they don't want to have any sort of opening here for 100 Thieves to cash in on an objective bounty, because with that early dragon that they stole away, they did buy themselves, you know, more time until the soul conflict really comes to its peak. So 100 Thieves, their plan is still the same plan from when they were 5,000 gold behind. It is try and minimize your losses at this point and funnel as much gold and experience onto Doublelift as you possibly can, because your win con is not going to change mid-game miraculously here for 100 Thieves. It still has to be around this Jinx carry.
Well, FlyQuest is going to get that third Drake here for themselves. Quick note to anybody who just saw the upcoming matches graphic pop up on the screen. No, Golden Guardians and Evil Geniuses will not be playing against the entirety of the LCS. The placeholders
I'd like to see it, though.
But I will tell you all that the loser of today's best of 5 will play against the Golden Guardians on Saturday. The winner, of course, will not have to have another game until next week, but that, of course, is still a long way away. FlyQuest pushing up mid lane. Tier 3 turrets already under pressure. Prince grabbing a little bit of damage here through the auto attacks as Tenacity and the rest of 100 Thieves try to hold him off. That Baron Enchanted Cannon minion is going to have the buff for another 2 seconds or so. Oh, just as he was about to shoot the bullet, he loses the buff. Doesn't matter, turret had 1 HP left, and FlyQuest are now on to their second inhibitor of the game. The super minions are pressuring the bottom lane, so Nasty has to deal with it. Mid lane inhibitor falls. Top lane still has the tier 3 turret ready, but Impact is marching up a wave, and FlyQuest are looking to take care of that.
And bomb damage is soft from Bjergsen right there for a moment, but the Nami heals will come on in. Bjergsen trying to stop this lane, as it's 100 Thieves looking for any potential opening at this point. As you mentioned, CaptainFlowers, it's got to be a mistake from the FlyQuest side to give 100 Thieves a chance, down 9,600 gold.
And bad news for 100 Thieves. Guess what? FlyQuest have not made very many mistakes this game.
No.
Very, very few mistakes. Really good snowball game from FlyQuest. Taking over jungle pathing advantage with the level 1 invade. Spica snowballing it so successfully. Double neutral objective start. Now all that's left is to go right through the top lane.
Let's see if they're going to hard force this, or if they might just be able to find a pick beforehand. You can see Spica and VicLa in the enemy base using the area they've already won for themselves, the other 2 lanes of inhibitors and super minions, to just provide an alternate angle. Get a little bit of poke here on these guys. Poke against Tenacity is largely meaningless. He does have the Warmogs as the second item, so he can regenerate very effectively, even without going back to the base. Everybody else is trying to stay as safe as possible. If you get hit by one of these Veigar cages, you're in a real bad spot. Tidal Wave flies out. It's just to make space and give a little firing time on the turret here for Prince. Busio goes fishing with a hook, but he doesn't find a whole lot of anything. Meanwhile, VicLa and Spica are utilizing those super minions to apply pressure to a second point. The Nexus turrets are under fire. Tier 3 turret now alone and exposed. Impact, Eyla, and Prince all working to try to take it out, but the backdoor protection means it's still standing.
Look at VicLa. You talked about him being a one-man army before. He's just warding off the whole 100 Thieves team with all these meteors and cages dropping. Finally, that tower does go down. FlyQuest siege is successful.
And he can do that all day. All it takes is 1 cage to hit, 1 time to just get a Q in, get a W in, and, well, they're gone without even needing to use the ultimate at this point. As right now, Doublelift and crew trying to do whatever they can to thwart this push.
VicLa's W, the Dark Matter, that does 871 damage, is on a 2.7 second cooldown right now. So that's a lot of rainbows, a lot of meteors dropping.
924 damage now.
Now he just bought his death cap. That's a big boost.
That thing is going to hurt. The ultimate's probably doing 4 digits of damage at this point. There's just no way you're surviving it without Bjergsen casting the ulti on you. But as we've seen in these fights, Bjergsen's already having to make tough choices. We've seen him throw Busio under the bus just because you can't waste it on Busio when you're this far behind. He's got to save Closer or he's got to save Doublelift. It's problematic for 100 Thieves being this far behind. You've got no time left as Baron has spawned. FlyQuest, you can see once again, placing down vision in this topside jungle. They can take this and then march straight for the end, or they could set a trap, bait 100 Thieves into it, and see what they can get from that. Eyla is forced to flash there, as 100 Thieves were a little bit closer than he thought when he walked through that brush.
All right, Flowers. Now is the point where we ask Courage, do you believe in miracles? Because Doublelift has at least gotten 3 items Infinity Edge combination here on Jinx. So how hard do you... Okay.
What you don't know is Nade Shot is under the FlyQuest stage, and he's ready to unplug 2 computers.
He might need to unplug more, based on the current state of the game.
Yeah, you're actually completely right
Okay,
there.
what about this? Drop the dream play. It's not the Cho'Gath that steals the Baron, it's the Jinx rocket.
Wow. Okay. That happens a lot in gold, as it looks like the Baron play has begun. Imagine trying to walk through that point with the Veigar cage. It's Spica on the back line, though, as he gets the knockup. Down goes Closer. No time for an ultimate there, as they've been completely pushed off. Tenacity now stuck in the cage as well. Oh, it looks like it's all but over right now. As also, there's one more! Ultimate has to be used by Bjergsen. They're gonna march right on down. This looks like it's gonna be game number 1 for FlyQuest. Let's talk about a miracle. 1 versus 5 for Doublelift. It don't matter how many playoffs he's been in. He's not stopping that. FlyQuest with the ace, and it's gonna be FlyQuest striking first here in our best of 5.
This is the FlyQuest we saw in the first few weeks of the split. This is the FlyQuest that was notably absent for the last couple of weeks. And this is the FlyQuest that came to play in this first round of playoffs. They take game 1.
FlyQuest have been cooking all week long, trying to improve on the end of their regular season. And my goodness, did they come out strong in game number 1 here versus 100 Thieves. They throw it down immediately. They say, hey, you've been using very limited champions in your formula for success so far, 100 Thieves. They attack that very specifically. Closer immediately, double banned, steal away the Wukong, taking away the Sion on the top side as well. But really it was about the play over there for FlyQuest.
Yeah, and also that level 1. I mean, Closer was down by almost double CS so early on when you mentioned Zhao, really a champion that needs to make the impact early on in the game. There was just no opportunity. He was playing 5 steps behind the entire way through. You really didn't get to see too much from him throughout it. I also wasn't necessarily too impressed by the Thresh play from Busio. Want to see him be able to make a bit more of an impact, especially with the hooks as it goes on, but that's the reason it's a best of 5.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Eyla has been getting a lot of criticism, nailing Nami bubble after Nami bubble, okay? So really, really big improvements from FlyQuest, changing what they have been doing the last couple of weeks in LCS.
Well, with the first game of the series wrapped up, Viva la LCS! LCS in Espanol is the official Spanish language stream of the LCS, and this new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. It's kicking off this week for playoffs. You can scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. And now we're going to head on over to the LCS Lounge to break that last game down.
Sweet. Let's start with the most important part of that game, which was
level 1, baby.
Bang! Great answers, everybody. So let's
That also mattered.
Let's start about the level 1 immediately. I mean, this was just a late invade coming in from FlyQuest. They understood that 100 Thieves wanted to start from top to bot. 100 Thieves, specifically Tenacity, tried to trade. So he gets chunked, loses flash. This is late, so he has to go back to lane, which is tough. And Spica, starting on the top side quadrant and triple quadrants Closer. So he's going to be far ahead, actually, because he's going to go straight to his bot side of the map. And so that is just going to be 1 level down for Closer in comparison, because he's actually trying to make plays, knowing that he only is able to farm his blue side jungle. And he starts late. Meanwhile, Tenacity is actually going to also be down a level because he actually started off in such a bad point in the lane.
And this ends up being really important. It was cool to hear from Song here that this was like kind of planned in terms of level 1, because of the fact that Closer could not do a lot to help his lanes early on. So you have the pushing bot side, and then you have Spica, who gets massively ahead on the Wukong, who automatically scales better.
Yeah, and this was kind of the concern that I had at the top of the day about what does 100 Thieves have in the tank, because it seems like they play the same way as FlyQuest, but FlyQuest has been doing it better all season long. They win a skirmish in the bot side of the map. They're able to drop the Rift Hurl down there, the funnel Prince. He gets super far ahead. Top lane's an island, which is exactly what Impact wants.
Yeah.
In the mid lane, you know, we saw the blind Veigar just come out saying, like, Bjergsen,
Yep.
you're not going to do anything to me.
Yeah, that was super interesting too. The blind Sion and Veigar having both Impact and VicLa just being like, okay, ban, like, what Impact, what do you not want to deal with? Gwen. VicLa, what do you not want to deal with? Lists. Okay, we're good.
Yeah, and I also think this is game one. FlyQuest is the higher seed, gets blue side. We don't have side selection yet, but I guarantee you 100 Thieves are going to pick
What's this
side.
copium right here come from Jet?
Literally, both these teams are higher win rates on blue side, and we got to see the results of that. They could pinch jungle, they got closer on Xin, they invaded level 1, and they took him out of the game, and that is actually the reason that game 1 was the way it was.
I'll say the one thing that a strength of red side, be it the terrain, is actually bot lane for the fact that you can wrap around gank if you're closer. And both times he looked bot lane, I think Prince and Eyla played it really well. They didn't give an opportunity to gank. Actually, looking at the 7 wins in a row that 100 Thieves ended up having in the regular season near the end of the split, a lot of it was off of just closer getting level 2 ganks or ganking bot lane early and not working.
Right, but to Mark's point, he had a coward's prediction, 3-1 FlyQuest.
Yeah, I should have gone 3-0.
I did say 3-0.
Yeah.
Your prediction is still in play, though.
It's still in play. I'm not happy.
This is the one they get, right? You saw this.
This is
how do they come back? How do they do it?
Blue side, you said it yourself.
That's one. How do they get the 3?
Play a little better.
I
have nothing. Look, the worst part about this is that it felt like they lost. Sure, we can mention the level 1, we can mention the draft. The actual fight that happened bot lane in the river, that was closer going for Scuttle Crab, engaging on Wukong. They're actually, the one strength I gave 100 Thieves, which is fighting when they're behind or choosing not to fight, that didn't happen this game. So I actually think a lot of the strength that I talked about in their wins throughout the regular season is not showing itself, so I'm not confident.
I mean, I trust your advice, though. I mean, that's what Nuke Duck's been saying ever since he took over, right?
Sure, just win.
Just win, lol. Play better, lol. You know, I'm sure that's what he's saying right now. He's in between his bites of fruit.
Well, no, the one thing I can make a note of is the fact that Closer is going to be able to get what he wants. I think the first pick, if I agree with you, they're going to likely go on blue. They're probably going to go Wukong on first pick. All those jungle picks that Song was talking about in between games that they're pretty comfortable getting is not going to happen again. And it seems like this series is going to be dictated by blue side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are headed to a break before game 2, but as we go, we need to get to the bottom of a very important question. Who is the better Lee Sin, the best Lee Sin on FlyQuest?
Who's the best Lee Sin on FlyQuest? Is it Spica?
Not Spica, no?
Yeah, not Spica.
Welcome back to another 1v1. We got Prince and VicLa, and I'm going to get out of the way so they can fight.
Start?
Start.
Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, it's Ben? Ben Pace?
Ben Pace? Okay.
Why Lee Sin?
We didn't play a lot and most spectacle.
Just play for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We someone's best. Snowball?
Yep. Take same spell, Snowball Fresh.
It's just normal setting? No more rune setting?
No.
No?
Okay. Okay, normal. The perfect.
Okay. The perfect?
Built rune.
Nice.
Who's the best Lee Sin on FlyQuest? Is it Spica?
It's not Spica first.
Yeah. True.
No? Yeah?
True.
Not Spica, no?
Yeah, not Spica.
No answer. Just not
I think me? Me or Impact?
Prince.
We take
Electrocute.
You got
press starting, no?
The start?
one has Conqueror.
Just
one
play anyway.
Conquer burst electro.
Electro win.
Is that fair?
Wow.
Prince, I believe in you. Electrocute Lee Sin. With Ultimate Hunter?
But
Oh. Woo. All right, this is an intense one.
Oh, the baits.
I appreciate Prince playing Electrocute. Oh no, he's gonna get conquered.
Oh.
No!
Boom!
Oh, conqueror.
No.
Conquer gap.
Are you guys doing no base?
No, can base.
Can base?
Okay.
Okay.
Base.
Woo!
Oh! Oh, got the electrocute. 3 long swords. Oh!
Oh, hit creep. Oh.
Oh! Cut!
Oh!
So easy.
Long sword
game.
dip.
It's done?
Yeah.
It's done. Okay.
Okay.
So, any final comments?
Oh, Prince never play Lucian.
Red Bull gives you wings. Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks?
We have to tell everyone that we just switched to Verizon's new Welcome Unlimited plan for just $30.
I've already told everyone.
Wait, did you say Verizon for just $30?
It's their best unlimited price ever.
$30? That's awesome. Yeah, and it's from the most reliable 5G network in America.
For $30 a line, I'm switching now.
Yeah, it's easy. And you get $960 when you switch the whole family.
Wow, I gotta let my buddies know.
We're already here.
The network you want, the price you love, only from Verizon.